What's the health of the squad like going into tomorrow's game?
Again, I'm sure like Pete will probably, over at Halifax be able to say you don't want to give too much away, guys, in these interviews. I think come the end of the season now, I think most clubs will be carrying injuries and knocks and stuff like that. So I think most clubs are in the same position, a similar position. So for us, we've obviously got injuries in and around the club. We've obviously got lads who aren't going to make the game. We accept that, but we won't be discussing that over these interviews pre the game.
Fair enough. What have preparations been like for this one?
Yeah, it's been good. I think, our league form at the end of the season was way off where it needed to be, or we wanted it to be. I think that was quite clear for everyone to see. We very much stuttered over the line, where other teams have sort of ran across the line. But like Everton, we go into these playoffs now with a great chance. Football is a very, very funny game. The team that necessarily finishes second and the team that finished seventh, all of a sudden there might be 20, 30 points between them in some leagues, but they go to a level starting blocks. And that's what makes the playoffs so unique. We've got a really tough game at Halifax tomorrow night. It's a manager I've got to know only since I've come back to Chesterfield, but I've got a lot of respect for him and his club. I think they're an outstanding club who are fighting at the top end of a league where there is some bigger teams without a shadow of a doubt. But Halifax are a very, very strong side. Got great qualities within the team. And we know we're in for a really difficult night tomorrow night.
Is that being your message then, that anything can happen at this stage now then?
Not so much anything can happen. It's preparing the team to turn up. The reality in these one-off games, you've got to turn up. You must turn up. For us, the confidence levels, and, in football, confidence goes quickly, but it also comes back very quickly. And you've got to do something to restore them confidence levels, whether that's scoring a great goal, making a great save for the keeper. Keeping a clean sheet last week for us was something that we hadn't done for a while. So the reality for us, if things can go our way in the game, the confidence levels, the belief, everything can come back in one night. And that's what we're aiming to do at Halifax tomorrow.
Obviously, you played Halifax at the Shea quite recently. Does that have any relevance on tomorrow night's game?
No, absolutely not. I think the only relevance is the two teams probably know a little bit about each other. That's the brutal truth of it. For Halifax and their team, who've had a really, really good season, an outstanding season, no different than ourselves. Like I say, we kick off tomorrow night level on points and level on goals. That's what this league does. Halifax have got the advantage of being at home. But I feel our supporters will negate that advantage by turning up in absolute large numbers with total belief in myself and the players that we are going to deliver for them. And that's the biggest message for me.
And although the result didn't go your way, can you take heart from the fact that you did create some good chances in that match?
I think football's all about, positivity and, as people say, from taking positive from negative situation. I just think that the better teams over periods of time are successful. Every team will have blips. It's football. For us, when you go away from home and you play well and you don't win, if you go away the next 3 or 4 games and play well and win, then the reality is that's just a blip, innit? For us, we haven't had a sequence that I've enjoyed at the minute. But again, as I say, my message clearly is we go into the playoffs tomorrow night, in my opinion, with an equal chance as everybody else.
Chesterfield learned a very harsh lesson in the playoffs last season by not naming a goalkeeper on the bench. Will you be naming a goalkeeper tomorrow? Again,
this will all, it's all fair. One of the problems you have for managers when you actually pick your bench, the reality for us as a club, we've been making too many substitutions early in games anyway. So the point being, we need every outfield player we can on the bench because we've needed them in the games. So the reality is our options are minimised by the injury situation within the game. So the reality for any team, you'd be foolish not to name a goalkeeper on the bench without a shadow of a doubt. But we'll have players on the pitch tomorrow night, probably similar to Halifax, that are maybe not match fit and maybe won't get the game.
A few fans are asking about Stefan Payne. Obviously, he's been out on loan. Does he come back into the group now, or is that his season done?
Again, for everyone, guys, I'm not discussing. I'm sure Pete will be listening to my interview like we listen to Pete in the hope of gaining some kind of advantage. I think Pete's advantage will be when he gets our team sheet tomorrow night at 6:45, the same as I'll get Halifax's. So all the discussions and the what ifs and everything else are fine, but there'll be a non-discussion from me on them situations.
Fair enough. Worth a try.
No problem. Very good try.
Have you been practicing penalties?
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. I think it's very important. You see the penalty situations which can arise. The problem for us, and again, probably the same for Halifax, is probably knowing what 11 will be on the pitch after 120 minutes. Because that's a big challenge at the minute. So, again, we're practicing penalties. We're travelling across with great spirit, great hope, great belief. As I say, we'll be backed by such amazing support. I know what this support does for this club and this town. You know, and that's my message to the players. We have to deliver for them.
And as you say, the fans are going to be travelling in great numbers. I believe over more than 2,000 are going to be there tomorrow night. How much a lift will that give everyone? Outstanding.
Absolutely outstanding. No different than the 850 odd who travelled to Torquay. One of the things we know about our club is our supporters will turn up. At the minute, our players and myself have got to make them believe that we will turn up, and that's the key message.
What type of game are you expecting tomorrow?
You don't know with the playoffs. You just haven't got a clue, have you? You know, I've been lucky enough to be in playoff situations. One with Chesterfield, obviously here against Preston. One with Portsmouth against Plymouth. So it is what it is. They're exciting. The big attendances. The 90-mile-an-hour football. The hurly-burly. I think Steve Cooper said, didn't he, from Forest, that everything goes out the window. I think that's probably the right case. So we'll prepare our players the best we can for what situations arise.
Thanks for your time, Paul. Good luck tomorrow night.
Thank you very much. Nice speaking to you.
Thank you.
Morning, Paul.
Good morning. You okay?
I'm fine, thank you. Was there a sense of relief after the Woking match when the whistle blew?
I think you could say a little bit more than relief. So I don't know a better adjective than relief, but relief will probably do for now. But I think it was a little bit more, because if we hadn't made the playoffs, it would have been a disaster. It would have been a disaster.
Were you actually aware that Dagenham and Redbridge were beating Wrexham?
Yes, unfortunately, yes. And especially more so when they scored the second goal and they put 4 minutes stoppage time up at our place. So obviously we were aware of all events. A Woking goal would have seen us eliminated. And that would have been absolutely, sledgehammer to us. But that's football. The reality is we've come through that, albeit jittery, albeit stuttering, albeit we're in that playoff situation now.
Well, as you say, you're in the playoffs, so it doesn't really matter how you get there because it's a different competition, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Do you approach them differently as a knockout competition rather than the marathon of a full season?
You're just in a situation tomorrow night, after probably 2 hours, give or take, a stretch of football, our season can be carrying on or our season can be over. And that's football. That's the nature of the game we're in. It can be so tough. You've only got to look at, like, Northampton, for example. As a football club, we've had an amazing season, yet unfortunately it fell at the first hurdle of the playoffs. It's football. It's tough. It's unforgiving. But it's also so exciting and so good when it goes for you. And I've been lucky enough to sample some amazing days in football. Going up in the playoffs is not one of the things I've ever sampled. So it's something that I crave for as a manager as well.
With the path to the final all laid out, does it help knowing in advance exactly who you will play and help you to plan your campaign?
I'd suggest so, yeah. I'd suggest that would be a fair point, a valid point. I think as the jostling goes on, I think we'd be probably the team in the playoffs that everyone wants to play, if I be truthful, because we actually look the weakest team going into it. But we can do something about that. For us then, every manager will have a different opinion on each other's teams and who you want to play and not play. For me at the minute, my biggest test is to try and put a team on the pitch that can win a game for us. So I'm not particularly bothered by the relevance of the opponent. I think all the opponents who finished above us are all very strong, well-coached, well-organised teams with good players. For us now, it's finding a way to win over in Halifax tomorrow night that will see our supporters leave that stadium elated and believing that we can go to Solihull and win a game of football again.
Well, what are you expecting from Halifax? It's a side that we've drawn against and we've lost to so far this season. Are we hoping to make the full set and have a win for us?
Yeah, I think that would be lovely, wouldn't it? I think with Halifax, you see is what you get. I think you can't underestimate in football levels of organisation, honesty, work ethic, team spirit, belief, and then the most important thing to cap it all, having good players. Having good players with an appetite to work. I think that's a key to football, and Pete's assembled a really, really good squad full of them qualities. They're a really good side, they're a very hard side to beat. The clean sheet goals against is a fantastic achievement for any team over a 40, 45, 50 game season. And we know we're in for a difficult night. But one of the things when we left the ground after losing, Halifax felt us a little bit. It was a game that at one stage of the game we were very strong in, and we've got to make sure we let Halifax feel that again tomorrow night.